Yeah, we're trying to and then Good morning.
Good morning.
We're still trying to work out the two systems. The old system that we are communicating with Sacramento seems like it's interfering with the new system, YouTube, that they are using. They are using both of them together. So hopefully now it is at the stage that it's working. Yeah, I'm hearing that it's working. Okay, good morning again. Thank you very much for showing up. And also, hopefully, if this works properly on YouTube, as we said last time, we would go exclusively to YouTube, but this room would always be available for in-person meeting, and hopefully you would keep coming here, because that's how we can exchange information and communicate here. So otherwise, through YouTube, the questions would come in and somebody would answer it and go back and forth. With that, couple of updates. The AB20, I'm sure you heard a lot about it. The issue of the indirect is extremely crucial for everybody to know that not only our system, but the state university system, all three of us together, we are on the same path. The indirect of 25% for the time being is going to be enforced, and it will go to 30, 35, and 40, the schedule you have. Do you want to talk about the rest of it? What would happen if you don't get, let's go. Yeah. You are all familiar with, from time to time, when there is a possibility of financial loss to the campus. The financial loss is typically at the department and dean's level. And if we get to those type of issues, we usually ask the dean and the department chair whether they want to take the liability. If they don't want to take it, the award cannot be accepted. If they take it, they would sign something saying that, yes, I'm taking the liability, and we will go forward. It's their call. We are working on the system, same system for shortfall in direct for AB20. So in other words, if an award comes in and there is no way that state would give us 25, they say, let's say, I don't know, to make up a number, 20% is the maximum, then we would ask the question from the chair in writing, whether they are willing to cost share the other 5%, which means that the accounting, you are putting up a system together to hit the account and take the money. It's real cost sharing. It's not that, yes, no. We have in-kind cost sharing or something like that. Do you want to talk about it?
Sure.
We haven't put it all together, but that's where we are going. So if the department doesn't want to take it, it's their call.
Yeah, so what we're doing is, we've had these situations in the past on a few occasions, and what we've done previously is used our overdraft object code.
It's 15 seconds delay,
Yeah.
by the way. Just, I talked to you. Thank you very much for playing it off here. Go ahead.
So do I need to wait 15 seconds before I take it?
So it's something back. That's
What we've done in the past is use the OBD1 or OBD2, one of the overdraft object codes, to credit the fund where there is this cost shared indirect happening, and then we've debited a departmental fund source that has been provided. What we have done now is created a special object code that we'll use for these situations, because we have a sneaking suspicion that there might be more of these occurrences coming through than we've seen over the last few years that we've been doing this other process. So the object code is FAIN, internally funded, I think was the little naming of it that we used. What you'll see is the that object will go into a unique object consolidation that we don't typically see. It's like a really miscellaneous type of category, but that will appear in the expenditure account. So within the account that you're charging all the salaries and everything, that will come in there. Object consolidate, step 7. Cultural difference.
7.
1, 2, 1, 2, yeah.
I can count up that high. 7, no more.
So in sub 7, you will see that we'll have to do a budget entry to get everything to balance. So you'll have a debit appropriation in the budget column and a credit down to offset it. The thing that we were concerned about, we have 2 things that we're accomplishing by doing this. One is we'll be able to capture and summarize all of this activity because it'll be in one object. So we'll be able to say at the end of the year, hey, we have cost shared, X dollars of indirects that the state was not willing to fund, but we elected to go ahead and do that project anyway. We'll also be able to use that to look at the fund sources that are being used to back up that lost indirect. We're going to put some information on the web, on our web page. We haven't put it up there yet, but it's going to say something like, for the appropriate fund sources, for the state agreements, which is kind of getting this going, we're going to, based on conversations with general accounting, we're going to say it is appropriate to use 19900 type funds to fund that waived indirect because they're still state projects. However, it's also going to say in other cases, like in the past, we've had cases where private or other types of agencies, non-state agencies have done this. It is not appropriate to use 19900 to pay for waived cost shared indirects on non-state agreements. So that information will be going up in the, I don't know, next few weeks.
No, I just got lost. So
Yes. Should I say it again?
yeah.
Just say it again?
Or well,
So-
just which funds we can use to cover these cost shared percentage amounts.
For the state agreements, you can use pretty much anything that is at your discretion, including your 19900, 199XX funds. For non-state situations, which again, we have seen those very infrequently. For those, you can use any discretionary appropriate fund source except 199XX. So gift funds would be perhaps a candidate for that.
Sure.
Of course, no way, I'll say it, I don't have to say it, but I'll say it. You can't use another sponsored project to do this.
Be clear.
All right. Yes,
What was the object code again?
it's FAIN.
So hopefully nobody would have to use that. See, this is not going to be encouraged, and hopefully the chair would say, why am I doing this? So the plan is not to encourage this, but if the chair wants to do it and they have the money to support state work, more power to them. But university is going to lose at the end of the day. So that's what the issue is. It's just that's why we are asking them, do you want us to accept the award? That's really what the bottom line is. So be careful about, so make it as difficult as possible to.
Yeah, we're gonna create a confusing setup there that knows that.
So you have done a good
So,
job already.
yeah, I've confused you thoroughly at this point, so we're off to a good start. Anything else about that?
Remember, all these issues have to do with any award which comes in as a result of proposals from beginning of this year, January 1st, or any new money on the old award. So there are some confusion still around here. And you also know that proposals, any award has to be based on a proposal which goes through the system using the 80/20. So hopefully all of that is by now clear, and we are in the transition right now. Yes.
So sorry, I apologize if you've already cleared this up. So then if proposals were submitted in December but awarded in January, we're talking about the calendar year?
Right.
It's, because that's when the 80/20 is in effect. So if they're awarded in January, are they then, they're still subject to the 80/20 rules and regs or anything, but no, because it was proposed in 2015.
Because if it was proposed before January 1st,
And it came through our office.
and the proposal
Right.
came through our office, but not the PI said, oh, yes, trust me, I send it.
Right.
Well, we will trust them, but not on this one.
Yeah.
No, seriously, it's just, again, the issue is that the proposal has come through our office.
Yes.
Now, if the proposal came through our office, let's say last July, and now they are getting the award today, it's going to be subject to the old rules.
Okay.
However, if the PI sent the proposals to them last July, and we hear about it today, the award comes in, all bets are off.
Yeah.
So it is AB20, we have to ask them, let's not give us, we would work with the state, that the award has to be in the form of AB20 and so on and so forth, and 25 is the magic number. Does it make sense?
Yes. Thank you very much.
Sure. Randy, anything else you want to talk about, any of those issues or any related issues,
Well, since,
or any unrelated issues?
so Mike Warnock's not here today, so I want to overstep into proposal arena and talk about proposals. So I'm going to embarrass some people. Could I have all the proposal analysts in the room stand up? All of you?
Stand up.
Okay. Yeah. So these individuals submitted 150 proposals last week.
Wow.
And the reason why I wanted to demonstrate that volume and our limited resources to all of you is to remind you that every time you call your proposal analyst at SPO, they're really trying to give you the best customer service. However, your call is followed by at least 15 other calls by other people. If you can find your answer in the RFP, if you can find the answer you need on the website or in the SF424 instructions, help them out, do it. Go find your answer if it's accessible to you. These people are working very hard to answer your calls and get back to you, but for every time you interrupt them while they're trying to submit a proposal, there's 15 other people doing the same thing. Okay, so we've got these 10 people here and they're working really hard for you, but you've got to recognize that we're serving 3,500 researchers and this volume is insane. So that's the plug I wanted to make for the proposal team. In addition, if you give us and I recognize that oftentimes you at the department level are receiving the proposal packets from the PIs at the 11th hour and trying to get them to us. And that is a reality of our business. And so it is realistic in such cases for our office to give it a very cursory review. We're going to give it a once over, very cursory, and it needs to go out. So if you give us a 200-page RFP and a proposal within 48 hours of a deadline, we're probably going to be looking at other proposals that came in earlier. Because it is not realistic to expect these people, your colleagues in the room with you, who do this every day, to review a 200-page RFP on 15 proposals due within 48 hours. It's not going to happen. So I just wanted to remind you that while we're here for you and we want to give you the best customer service, we also care about and invest in our human resources in this office, and we're not going to ask them to do the unreasonable. So as long as we're all on the same page, if you have any issues about that, just call me. My number is 754-8323. Call me, we can talk about it. But I wanted to give you that information and encourage you to find the answer in the available resource before picking up the phone and hitting up your proposal analyst. Fair enough?
Yeah.
Okay, that's all I have.
Okay, that was.
Oh, yeah, question?
I just wanted to add something on that same line. Recently, we were processing those CERM proposals, and there were a lot of forms that have to be processed as the last minute, which I had 3 proposals with 20 people, with 3 signatures each, and that was like 100 emails right there. And it's not only on the department level, but also for the analysts, because, I would try to send them out and they get this monthly email. So I was asking if there's any way that a proposal stage, if this could be moved to the stage when the person actually gets paid from the project, so that then they can sign that they don't have any patent issues and those things.
So just to clarify, it sounds like the question is, in an instance where the University of California is waiving an employee's rights, which is what we do when we accept CERM funding, and other agreements where intellectual property provisions will conflict with an employee's right to receive revenue, licensing revenue under their inventions. At what point should our office get consent from a stakeholder to waive their employee rights? And looking at it legally, when we submit the proposal, the institution is saying, yes, we endorse as an institution this proposal, and we are willing to comply with all these rights, and we've listed all these names in that proposal. So it sounds like we're already waiving those employees' rights at the time that we submit the proposal. If you know that you're going to solicit funding from an institution that will require the employees to relinquish some of their employee rights, we want to err on the side of engaging stakeholders early. And we can talk to you about those types of sponsors well in advance, so that maybe we can get those forms prepped earlier for you. That could be a possibility. But asking our office to go ahead and provide institutional support for a proposal that will waive employees' rights without getting that consent makes us uncomfortable.
And it is basically not within our power to, university policy provide certain rights, as Randy said. We are not able to waive those rights unless the individual said it's okay with them. In the example you are talking about, maybe there is no need to have 15 people on that proposal. Maybe all of the names shouldn't be there, but if they have to be there, they have to follow the rules. And I know that you said that within the last 2 days they have to keep signing. I mean, when the proposals are put together, I have been there. I have done proposals, on the site that you are looking at. When I used to be researcher way back then. I don't remember the date now. I mean, a year before the proposal is sent out, the researcher or the group knows what they are doing. I mean, maybe not a year, 6 months, maybe not 6 months, 3 months. It's not 2 days before. So they know very in advance they have to have you. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, I mean, on that matter, we had in one instance tried to be proactive and use the form from the last proposal, but then we were told, no, can't do that. We have to, a wording of sentence has changed, and it's a different thing. So that's very difficult. I mean, I understand.
Sure, that makes sense. On what you're talking about, the issue was, I don't know if they hear the questions that they are here online, but the comment was that in the past, you have to try to be proactive. Use the form that you used in the previous occasion. The office said, wait a minute, the form has changed. If the rules change, the law changes, the policy changes, and all that, we have to have updates of these things, and that's unfortunate, but that happens.
Yeah.
I suppose we could. The comment here was that maybe we can put the forms online, but then be prepared to look through lots of forms.
Yeah.
And then the problem that I can see there coming up is that, well, I used the form on page 57 of your website, and maybe form on page 25 was supposed to be used. So there might be some confusion. We can look into that to see if we can make it easier for you to know that if you are sending it today, this is the form. The same way that, we are approaching tax time. You are not going to use the 2014 form. You have to use 2015, no matter how often they change.
Yeah, I do see that. Probably there's a big risk that one would just copy the previous one.
Right.
So I can see that. But another thing that I wanted to just bring up is that in these days where the funding gets less and less and it's more and more difficult to get, also the PIs tend to put everybody with a name on the proposal. So the sponsor knows they're ready, out the door. If they get the money, this project is going to go. So, it used to be that if you have graduate student, postdoc, you would put the name. And then you wouldn't have to have all this thing that you have to chase after people. And especially those are sometimes a little bit difficult to get a hold of to get their signatures and so forth. So I think also, if you put these things out, just to consider that.
Putting online, okay.
Yeah, or I bet that there's a compromise position that'll meet your needs, that we could meet you halfway on this, because I really understand your concern about trying to get these documents signed, and it really resonates with me trying to make the workload of our proposal analysts more reasonable. So let me think, we'll brainstorm some suggestions and bring them back to the group.
Thanks. Thank you very much for the input. Any other questions? This is going to be a very short meeting. Nothing else from accounting? Audit, anything from audit?
It's nice and quiet.
Audit is nice and quiet. Thank you. Any other questions, comments from Sacramento? I see. This is Cindy, Director of IRB.
I just wanted to say that the IRB has a survey out. It's a satisfaction survey. We're trying to do a process improvement program. And we'd like anyone who would like to get some feedback, please go on our website and press the link for the survey. You don't have to sign a consent form for it.
Thank you, Cindy. Okay, any questions regarding anything in IRB? No? Well, there's nothing else here. It's only 9 a.m. I guess we are done. Let's go keep working on the proposals and our work. Thank you very much for coming. Hopefully we will be on YouTube also.
Nice to meet you too. I'd like to
Yeah, I'm not gonna say anything about.